It's Tuesday, April 27th, and this is now on HNN.
Breaking news, we'll have the latest on this building fire in West Oahu.
So whatever we can do to make it as easy as possible.
Hawaii health officials open vaccine walk-in sites as the demand for shots drops.
The CDC has new guidance on wearing masks. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House with what's changing for fully vaccinated Americans.
This is another great reason to go get vaccinated.
These stories, plus we'll get a checkup on that baby monk seal at Kaimana's. That's coming up on This Is Now. We begin with this breaking news from the west side. HFD crews are responding to a building fire on Jade Street. They got the call just before 10 a.m. Details are limited. At this time, we don't know what's burning here or if there have been any injuries, but you can see a huge white smoke plume in this video sent to our newsroom. We'll continue to follow this breaking news, bring you any developments as they come in on our HNN digital platforms.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for watching. This is Now. Ashley and Jonathan here. Senate Majority Leader Jay Kalani English announced today he's retiring from the state Senate to focus on his health after being diagnosed with long-term effects of COVID-19. English, who represents parts of Maui, Molokai, and Lanai, says he contracted COVID in November of last year while out of state. He says his initial symptoms were mild, but since recovering from the virus, he's been dealing with lingering effects such as a lack of energy and memory challenges. English was first elected to the Senate in the year 2000. Democratic Party leaders in his district will select 3 candidates for Governor Ige's consideration, and the Gov has 60 days to fill the seat. Now to the latest coronavirus numbers. The state health department is reporting 54 new COVID cases today and 1 new fatality. We'll have the breakdown for you by island on our HNN digital platforms. Meanwhile, a big development from the CDC. Officials say fully vaccinated people can now go outside without a mask unless they're in a big crowd of strangers. Natalie Brand is at the White House with more on the new guidance.
President Biden asked all Americans to wear masks for his first 100 days in office, and now his administration is relaxing some of those recommendations.
Starting today, if you're fully vaccinated and you're outdoors, you need, and not in a big crowd, you no longer need to wear a mask.
Fully vaccinated people can now take off masks while exercising outdoors, attending small outdoor gatherings with a mixture of people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, and dining at outdoor restaurants with friends from multiple households.
We know that the virus spreads very well indoors until more people are vaccinated. And while we still have more than 50,000 cases a day, mask use indoors will provide extra protection.
The new guidance comes as the administration redoubles efforts to reach out to those who are reluctant to get vaccinated.
This is another great reason to go get vaccinated. Now.
The number of daily doses administered fell from a high of about 3.5 million 2 weeks ago to 2.7 million on Monday.
The federal government stands ready to help states put shots into arms as quickly as possible.
The CDC says there are 7 states, Alabama, Alaska, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, West Virginia, and Wyoming, now administering less than 70% of doses delivered. Most states are still above 85%. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
More appointments are starting to open up at vaccine clinics across the state. Sammy Selena joins us with more on that.
So at some locations like Pier 2, you don't need to necessarily make an appointment during certain hours. You can just walk in, but it's not consistent across the board. You need to call each individual clinic and see what they're doing in terms of walk-ins. Starting today, Pier 2, one of the mass vaccination sites run by Hawaii Pacific Health, is open to walk-in vaccinations 2 hours a day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you can go during your lunch hour. They said that as of yesterday afternoon, more than 10,000 appointments were available at Pier 2 for the week. They told us a few days ago that it was definitely taking longer to fill up their slots. They're also expanding their evening hours so you can come after work if you have an appointment. Other clinics around the state have opportunities as well. On Kauai, the Department of Health's Convention Hall Clinic is accepting walk-ins without appointments for those 60 and up, as well as residents with limited English proficiency between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Hawaii County also told me this morning that most of their pods and clinics are doing walk-ins, although appointments are preferred. Maui Memorial is offering walk-ins on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 12. They hope more folks will want to receive the shot since getting it is easier than ever before.
We want to make sure that we're reaching all individuals, that no appointments needed. We just want to make it easier now that it's available to the population that's 16 and older. And we realize some individuals, it may be challenging to make an appointment online. So whatever we can do to make it as easy as possible for individuals to come in to get the vaccine.
Community health clinics on Oahu are also beginning to do more walk-ins. Again, every clinic is different. Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center said they are actually disappointed with the turnout of their mass vaccination event on Saturday, and that they're taking a break from their weekend clinic this week and are beginning to take walk-ins during the week.
Well, right now, we're just trying to re-strategize every day to make the shot as available, to remove as many barriers as we can, to make it as easy for people to get the shot that want it.
Health officials say walk-ins may become more prevalent as demand decreases. Sammy Solina for This Is Now.
On Hawaii Island, a murder suspect is behind bars today after a standoff in Volcano. Police believe Darius Paul Pacheco shot and killed a 59-year-old man on Na'unani Road at around 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Pacheco was seen leaving the property with a gun and heading to a nearby home. He then refused to come out for about 3 hours. A SWAT team evacuated neighbors until Pacheco surrendered peacefully. Honolulu police say they'll be setting up DUI checkpoints at unannounced times and locations from May 1st through June 30th, including Memorial Day and King Kamehameha Day. HPD says officers have been conducting checkpoints every week from September of last year and will continue to do so through September of this year as part of the federal government's 5212 sobriety checkpoint program, where a minimum of 52 checkpoints are held throughout the year. We've learned a man with a history of showing up to emergencies and pretending to be a first responder is a candidate for local office. Taylor Yoshitomi Jones is the last candidate listed for the Waipahu Neighborhood Board, saying he wants to find solutions to the problems we face today. But as Allison Blair reports, he's facing new charges.
The latest incident happened just after 9 o'clock Friday night. The victim, a driver having car trouble.
June Chow says he was headed home from work when his van overheated on the H1 right after the Ewa Beach on-ramp. He says he pulled off to the side of the highway, put on his hazards, and got out to look under the hood when what appeared to be a police officer stopped behind him.
I never see anything about his car except the blue light.
Chow says he returned to his driver's seat and waited several minutes before a man walked up to his window.
He asked me, do I need any help? I say no need. I really call my friend. On that moment, I never know he is the fixed police.
HPD identified the suspect as Taylor Yoshitomi Jones. Records show it's not the first time he's been caught impersonating police. This is a photo of the 19-year-old when he was arrested in December after stopping for another stranded driver. HPD sources say he was in a Nissan Sentra with blue lights and that he had a flashlight, radio, and a gold badge around his neck. In February, he was arrested again after a security guard caught him inside the locker room at the Honolulu Emergency Operations Center. EMS officials confirm Yoshitomi Jones has also showed up at medical emergencies, pretending to be a first responder. Despite multiple interview requests, HPD refused to talk to us about the suspected law enforcement impersonator or tell us why they haven't issued a warning to the public. In a statement, a spokesperson said HPD has received various reports involving this individual, and his information and photos have been sent to law enforcement and first responder agencies.
On that moment, I would believe he is the police officer. So I give him my contact number.
As Yoshitomi Jones was about to leave, his lights caught the attention of a real police officer. He was arrested on multiple counts, including drug charges. He's also accused of being under the influence of an intoxicant. The 19-year-old has since been released pending investigation. Chow said since giving him his phone number, the suspects called him multiple times.
A couple minutes ago, the number called me again.
If you've had a similar run-in with this man, call Honolulu Police. In Waipahu, Allison Blair,
Hawaii News Now.
More horror stories are surfacing out of India right now, including overwhelmed hospitals with a lack of oxygen supply. The mother of CNN's Fareed Zakaria was one of the fatal victims of the disease. She was 85 years old and passed away earlier this month at a hospital in India. Fareed, who wasn't able to see his mother in her final days, tells us why he thinks India couldn't control the second wave of the virus.
The lesson is pretty clear. Don't get complacent and don't get arrogant. What happened is the government in India actually handled the first wave pretty well with a draconian lockdown, came to the conclusion that the lockdown was probably too draconian because remember, in India, the government doesn't have money for COVID relief payments and things like that. So you put a lot of people in very difficult economic hardship. So they decided, okay, we're going to ease up. But then they eased up way too much. And they started to believe that Indians had some kind of exceptional immunity to COVID, which was, of course, crazy. Then the prime minister decides he wants to engage in a lot of electioneering, campaigning, and he wants to be able to hold large outdoor rallies. Well, if he's going to hold large outdoor rallies, he has to then start allowing other large outdoor gatherings like cricket matches, which are huge in India, like this Kumbh Mela, which is a 10 million person gathering, which sounds crazy if you think about it now in terms of its dangers for COVID. All of that was allowed. And guess what? Indians did not have any natural immunity. The spike went way up. Now, it's worth pointing out, the real spike in terms of numbers is in cases and infections. The death rate is still relatively low. It is still, for example, fewer people have died in India from COVID than in the US. But the problem is the one you pointed out, John, which is the hospitals and the healthcare system are crashing. And unless they can get a grip on this, you're going to have a lot of people dying of lots of other things because the hospitals are just so full that they can't deal with anything but COVID.
New at noon, the largest naval flotilla assembled by Britain in recent years will set sail in May on a months-long voyage through the Pacific. The strike group will be led by the aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth, marking its maiden deployment. The ship, one of the UK's 2 aircraft carriers, is the largest warship the UK has ever sent to sea. The Defense Ministry said the deployment is aimed towards a deeper UK security role in the region, with exercises planned alongside India, Japan, South Korea, as well as US forces.
Less than 3 months until the start of the Tokyo Olympic Games, and organizers have restarted test events with athletes to see how prepared they are. Blake Essig reports.
We're at the Tokyo Aquatic Center, one of the venues which will be used for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. With less than 3 months to go before the start of the Olympics, this is one of the first test events being held since the Games were postponed more than a year ago. Test events like this serve as a dress rehearsal for Olympic organizers, an opportunity to work out the kinks ahead of the Games. In this case, only a limited number of Japanese athletes are participating. Here in the mixed zone, only 12 journalists are allowed in at any time. As a result, because of COVID-19, this virtual setup is one option being considered to allow equal access to athletes. When it comes to antivirus measures, it's clear Olympic organizers are still figuring things out. This is the media room inside the Aquatic Center where social distancing doesn't seem to be an option. While it hasn't been decided, this is what the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games could look like: empty arenas with no fans and athletes competing to the sound of music, which does help mask the silence. Despite a 4th wave of infection growing and Tokyo being placed under its 3rd state of emergency order, Olympic organizers and the Japanese government remain committed to holding the Games as scheduled this summer. Blake Essig, CNN, Tokyo.
All right, we got to get to some really exciting news coming in from Waikiki. Look at this live video feed we're watching. A Hawaiian monk seal pup came into the world yesterday at Kaimana Beach, and beachgoers are being urged to keep their distance, and you can see why we've been watching this live feed of the pup and mama there being very active in the last 30 minutes or so. Again, the birth happened yesterday, and as always, these mothers can sort of exhibit aggressive tendencies. We're not seeing that now. She's sort of just going up and down the beach, and the pup's following her. I think he's trying to nurse there, but she's just not quite ready for it right now. She's had a long 24 hours for
yeah,
sure.
She's like, let me sunbathe for a little bit.
Yeah, give her a break, all right? But it is beyond adorable. But again, if you're planning to go out there, keep your distance. And with more on why, let's turn it over to our Billy V, who's been out there much of the morning.
Thank you very much. We've had a crowd here at Kaimana Beach for pretty much of the time that we've been here. Maybe 20 to 30 people at a time coming in, rushing from their cars to take a look at the mama and her baby pup. That's Kaiwi. Kaiwi's been here quite a few times. Kaiwi was born on the Kaiwi coastline of the island of Oahu, but this is the first of 4 pups that have been born here on this beach. So as a lot of the crowd looks on, a newborn Hawaiian monk seal, according to NOAA, typically nurses with its mom for about a month. During the nursing period, the mom stays with the pup without leaving to forage for food, after which the pup is left on its own to learn to swim and find food. So recently weaned pups, after that 1-month period, they're highly impressionable. Their mothers are no longer with them. They have to learn to find food for themselves, and they may seek social interaction with humans. So that's why there's people like the Hawaii Marine Animal Response volunteers who not only come down here to make notes and to pass those on to NOAA, but also to educate the public that happens to be gathering close by why they should keep their distance. And that's why they have these signs and fencing to keep people at a distance. Just a reminder that if you're on the beach with a pup or a seal, make sure that you're keeping your distance. Make sure if you have a dog that you keep them on a leash. From Kaimana Beach, I'm Billy V. Let's send it back to you.
Let's take you back to our other vantage point of this live video feed coming in. We cannot get enough of this, Ashley, right?
Yes.
This, again, is a live video feed. We're going to be taking our seal camera, as we are calling it, for much of the day on our digital platforms in our early newscasts here on HNN, so you can watch this. You don't even have to go out there. You can get a great view by just sticking with your HNN digital platforms. Oh.
I know. Our photographer, Davis, who's out there, has the best assignment today, I think.
Truly, truly. Well, let's turn it over to another one of our friends. Here's Guy Hoggy with an update on the conditions those little guys are dealing with.
How's it on this Tuesday? The light wind weather pattern continues. So even though we have some showers this morning, those showers aren't amounting to very much, and they're mostly over Oahu, moving to Maui County. Now, by this afternoon, because of these light winds, we'll get clouds building up over many interior and leeward spots, and that cloud buildup could spawn a few spotty downpours. And because of that early sunshine, the UV index is going to be extreme, and there are no marine alerts out there. However, we do have some fun-sized surf expected to start picking up in the country. Now, we've got another pulse expected for the South Shore on Wednesday, and more town and country swells are due in for the remainder of the week. In fact, on Friday, look for the country to get a solid swell. That could be the last gasp of the winter swells. So light winds today and tomorrow, high humidity levels. It's going to be sticky. We'll get those afternoon clouds and a few afternoon showers. And then more stable weather, more comfortable weather due in on Thursday as the trade winds come back. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
The stars and producers of the hit NBC sitcom Young Rock have come together for a virtual panel, and they discuss the portrayal of Pacific Islanders in Hollywood. Here's a portion of that panel with moderator McKenna Maduli.
Wanted it to feel real. Like at the core of this is that we have this like massive famous entertainer who is very open with people and tells his stories online and like shares that. And we wanted to bring that reality to the show also. And I think also like with these performers here with Stacey, Ulifasi, and Anna, like they brought that to the show too. You know what I mean? Like they find the comedy, but they also find the emotion. They find the beauty in all those things. And so if it wasn't like the blend of like what we were doing, Dwayne's story and these performers, you know, I think it's just a collaboration, you know, and it all came together that way.
It came together brilliantly again. And, you know, Anna, if we can bring you in, because you play Dwayne's grandmother, Leah Maivia, who was one of the wrestling's first female promoters, but also like a caring mother figure to the extended family. I love that 1982 was shot here in Hawaii. But what did you do and how did you approach playing such a revolutionary role, you know, as the first Samoan promoter of wrestling? How'd you do that?
Well, I guess for her, foremost, you know, she was a mother and a grandmother. And, you know, my mother being the eldest of 13, She was stalwart and quite a tough person in her own family, and so she was my inspiration. And as soon as I saw the script and descriptions of Leah, then I knew straight away that I could relate, because my mother was of the same ilk. So it wasn't very difficult playing her character, because from experience I know the type of person she would be, very tough amongst a male-dominated family and an industry.
One of Australia's most iconic wild animals is under a new threat. The platypus has seen its numbers drop by nearly a third in just 30 years. Ian Lee joins us with more.
These researchers are fishing to save a species.
7 p.m., first platypus.
The elusive platypus, famed for its bill and webbed feet, is in danger. But this expedition is off to a good start.
So this looks like a platypus we haven't caught before. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Scientists are taking all sorts of measurements.
To the tip of the tail is 44.
Along with blood and urine samples, they're also checking the platypus's diet.
We kind of scoop up this mush from the platypus's mouth.
The animals are being captured all across eastern Australia in an effort to learn more about why they're dying off.
The platypus is threatened for a number of reasons.
Researchers say cattle have destroyed riverbanks where platypuses build burrows to take shelter. And extreme weather events like wildfires and floods could also be to blame.
I guess this study will really give us an indication to how platypus populations will respond to those events.
Fishing for information. So next time, the furry creatures will be easier to find. Ian Lee, CBS News.
All right, what else is the internet talking about today but our seal camera? Here's another live picture coming in from Kaimana Beach, and look at that little guy, very active today. And we have so much to talk about monk seals. Ashley's been doing a lot of research. What did you find out, Ash?
So the average lifespan of a Hawaiian monk seal is 25 to 30 years. The adult males grow to about 7 feet long and weigh between 300 and 400 pounds. The females can grow 8 feet long, so bigger than the males, and can weigh between 400 and 600 pounds. So the females are bigger than the males. The Hawaiian monk seal is unique in that they live in a tropical climate, and most seals prefer frigid water. So the Hawaiian monk seals do not have external ears. They cannot rotate their hind flippers underneath their bodies. Breeding season between June and August, with birth usually occurring between March and June, and the average gestation period is 9 months, like humans. Mothers of newborn pups are devoted to their offspring while nursing. As Billy mentioned, for the first 5 to 6 weeks of a newborn's life, the mother is so busy safely raising her pup that she will not eat. That is dedication. So the pups go from about 35 pounds at birth to roughly 175 pounds while being nursed. And the mother will lose those hundreds of pounds during that time.
Wow, this is just incredible live video we have coming in. And again, just to remind you, our photographer has the best assignment ever here. He's going to be out there much of the day bringing you live streams on our H&N digital platforms. We're going to have another one coming up in just like maybe about 15 minutes once this is over. And then again, we're hoping to have more live pictures for you coming up later today on First at 4. You guys, what an incredible day. I love this show and this live shot. Keep watching H&N for just more of this. We'll see you later. Have a great day.